I just apologise first of all for anyone watching this on YouTube, because I don't know what's happened to my hair.
It's so hot today.
Look at it.
We'll listen back one day and we'll be like, it was hot.
No, it really was. If you're listening to this week, which you should be, because we're back, we were sat in Lisa's front room this morning, trying to get the sound right for the introduction, and in 29 degrees of heat, we were under a blanket.
That was the funniest thing.
So now Wurzel Gummidge from the 1970s and 80s has made an appearance.
Can we discuss that introduction? Like, we sound proper professional.
It's first time in a while. Isn't it? Oh, well, what a busy lockdown it's been, and we are really glad that, well, we said we'd take a break, but as you know, we didn't take a break. We started sober sessions. Be Sober Manchester. Oh my God. So we have talked about this before, but for anyone new, Be Sober Manchester was founded by Lisa, Joe and Hannah when they all found each other through Instagram after going sober. That was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, just over a year ago.
And it grew and grew and grew and grew with members at Be Sober Manchester, and now it is branching out everywhere. Anyway, I've come on board just because I have. And yeah, it's you.
Because you're my best friend.
And it's you, me and
Joe.
Yeah.
It's exciting. We've got lots of plans for Be Sober. Well, it's not Be Sober Manchester now. It's
just Be Sober.
Be Sober. And
social group.
Yeah. So hopefully the idea behind it is that we can bring social events to all over the UK, the world,
the universe.
Yeah, let's do it. But you know, we know how important it is to have people that just get it when you stop drinking, and your social circle can change really quick, a lot quicker.
Can I just say, sorry, I forgot we were on video as well, and I'm going,
it's so rude.
For anyone who's listening and not watching, I was just biting my knuckles and I have no idea why.
This videoing and recording is not going to work, is it?
It will work. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing.
So yes,
Be Sober.
Be Sober. So the idea is that we bring events everywhere.
We're off. Look, season 2 starting with a bang, guys. We're back.
know. Sorry, we forgot what to do.
We're too excited. That's what it is, right? Lisa's fidgeting. You can see the screen bopping up and down, anyone watching it. Yeah, we're just too excited and really hot.
Yeah, you know what, we've got a lot going on, we've been really busy, but this is our baby, isn't it? The Sober Experiment podcast.
Yeah,
and we love it. So we're dead excited to be back, like Alex says. So forget what I was saying, come on, move on.
We've got a great lineup this season. We've already got so many people booked in, but it's weird how it's happened, because we seem to have a lot of male presence over the next few weeks, don't we?
We do, yeah.
Which is great, because we didn't have last time, so it's going to be really good to hear it from a different perspective. We've been doing we've been on loads of different podcasts and lives, and yeah, we've just been everywhere. If you've not seen us, I don't know where you've been.
They're probably sick of us, so not even listening to this anymore.
That's not true. They're not. They love us. We love you and all. We're going to put up we've had a few codes through for drinks, so for anyone who drinks alcohol-free drinks, is in the alternatives, we've got a few codes from different places where you could get a discount on those, so we'll put them in the bio. Lots has happened. We've had tragedies, we've had happiness, we've had successes, failures. We've had a lot go on in lockdown.
We have had a lot, and I'm sure like everybody else has, it's kind of been I think it's been a really, really tough time. You know, once that novelty of like staying at home and being like the Waltons and doing all these do you know what I mean? Like, once the novelty of that wore off and all the not knowing, and it's been really difficult, I think, for a lot of people, especially now. This is what we're thinking about in lockdown, that we've heard like different things from different people. So people have been struggling with drinking a hell of a lot more, but a lot of people that have decided to go sober have been in their safe little bubble.
Yeah, and they're worried now, aren't they? Now that we're going back out into the world, the pubs have opened and we're reaching some sort of new normal, they're worried that I hate that as well.
Why did you say that?
I don't know, because everyone relates to being new normal. It's a new normal.
It's not.
Well, all right, we're not going to argue about new normal. But I forgot what I was saying now. Goodness sake.
We've gone rubbish.
We have gone rubbish. We're right back at episode 1, guys. But yeah, now people are coming out of lockdown and trying to find a new way of living. They're worried that this is going to threaten their sobriety, that they've actually managed to achieve, 100 days, 150 days just through lockdown, because they've not been out in the normal real world and been subjected to it quite so much as in the marketing. We have had lots of people give up successfully. We've had lots of people relapse, unfortunately, and they're now working at getting back into their sober pink cloudy bubble. I don't know how to word that. And yeah, lots of people saying that they wanted to talk about, cravings and blackouts. So we're going to do our best to kind of work through some of those topics over the next few weeks. But we thought we'd start today by talking about blackouts. Do you see Lisa's nervous face if you're watching? And it's because she's got some stories. Do you remember on season 1 when I talked about a blackout and Lisa said, I've got a story for you at some point down the line? And I bet everybody thought, thank God, because we're sick of yours, Alex. And then she didn't tell it. Now, I'm intrigued.
It's not even that interesting. Like, now there's a big drama about this story that's not even that interesting.
Let people decide. I want to decide. I probably do know this story, but I've probably been that pissed in between originally hearing it and now that I've forgotten it, and then I'll go, I remember that. But yeah,
it's not really a story as such like that, so I don't know whether you'd know the story because I've never seen it as a story. Does that make sense? It was like an experience that happened that I have never spoken about.
I probably don't know.
So now it's like a story. But firstly, I just wanted to mention about blackouts because I didn't realise that I had blackouts. I thought blackouts was where you just drank and then you knocked yourself unconscious. So when
some people do that, though.
Yeah, they do, but I think we so distract each other, don't we? It's ridiculous.
I nearly spilled my coffee out.
Yeah, so blackouts. I've forgotten now.
I'll tell you what she's saying. I know blackouts, right? Basically, you drink, and sometimes you can just have 1 drink, 2 drinks, sometimes drinking to excess, and it basically means that your brain stops making the memories, and you actually can never get back that time. So you're perfectly functioning-ish, apart from the odd wobble maybe, but you appear to be conscious and with it and know what you're doing, but actually you don't know what you're doing, and you certainly don't remember it afterwards, and you can never remember it afterwards, can you?
No, you can't.
You get like flashbacks of the bits where the memories have been built. It's like that time, just to put it in context again, and I have told this story and I don't want to make this about me, but I've done it, yay! Like when I woke up on Piccadilly train station in Manchester, I'd gone out at lunchtime. I was supposed to get home at tea time, and I woke up there at 11, 12, and the last train was there, and I swear to you, not only do I not know how I've got a vague vision of walking up the hill to Piccadilly station, but I don't know where those hours have gone. Maybe I was just asleep, but
it's so frightening. I think that's what it is. But what's important is when I first got sober and I used to hear about people having blackouts, the thing I used to say to myself all the time was, well, I was never that bad. I didn't do that. So as much as it can be that, it can be simply just waking up and not remembering things from the night before. So when people say, do you remember when you did this, or why did you do that? And you're like,
I used to hate that as well.
Because I suffered them and didn't realise I suffered them. So then people would ring me and be like, you did this, and I would swear blind because it was something that just I would never ever do. Like that time when you said I poked you in the face. I do not believe that I poked you in the, and I think because it's against anything that I do, like I would never go and poke somebody in the face.
I wasn't going to mention the poking in the face because I didn't think it was something you'd want to talk about.
No, it's awful. But I think that's kind of the point, isn't it? We do things that do not align with what we believe in. Like I would not go up to somebody and
especially your best friend.
I want to poke you in the face now. But I wouldn't, and I was just so traumatised. And that then phone, you know, when you lie there and you've got your phone in the morning, like I can feel it now, and you hear that beep. And you just think, I can't, what did I say? But then you want to look, don't you? But you don't. And that anxiety and that anxiety of it, it's just so frightening. But blackouts aren't this always this big
It's not a big
thing.
event, is
It can be just tiny things. And so, yeah, if you've ever just not remembered something, you've had a blackout, I'm really sorry to tell you, because I was traumatised when I found out. I was like, oh, I am that bad.
Do you know what, when you're talking about like celebrating it, and we've always been worried about this because we try to find that balance between finding the fun and the humour in our past selves without glorifying it, and I don't know how successful we are at that, actually.
No.
I think sometimes we probably do come across as glorifying it, but it's not intentional, that is it?
No,
it is
not
that we
at
just
all.
like to see that it was funny, but there is a really dangerous side. And I mean, I was one
Like,
who
I could have put your eye out instead of your teeth.
Shut up. No, but like, you know, that time for me on the platform where I fell asleep, you know, you hear so many horror stories of things that have happened to women where they've ended up back at somebody's house, they've been assaulted. It can be so serious, because not only have you got the fact that your inhibitions are lowered because of the alcohol, so you're actually taking more risks willingly, you've also got that side of not knowing what you're doing and not remembering what you're doing, and that's really scary, isn't it?
It's scary because it's like what you said about glorifying. What a lot of people do, and what I particularly did after events like that, was kind of ring you to make that all right.
To make it funny.
Yeah, to make it funny, to laugh about it, and to say like, you're not going to believe what I did last night, and it's kind of getting it off your chest. It's a little bit of a confession to try and make yourself feel better. Like, I used to put posts up on my Facebook that would reflect how I was feeling in a funny way. So just in case anybody had seen me the night before, it was my way of saying, I'm aware that I was really drunk last night, I was a dick, but look, here's a funny post to make light of it. Do you know what I mean? So I used to do that a lot. But talking about like getting into situations, the story, which isn't really a story.
Can I just do da?
No.
Sorry. Sorry.
You know, this might not be a big story for everybody else. They might be like, I was like that all the time, or they might be like, that's really awful.
Can I just tell you something there though before you tell this story?
No, you're really building it up, Alex.
I'm sorry.
It's like,
but you know Josh? Nakua Josh.
Yeah.
But he always says that, you know, something that's massively traumatic to one person might mean nothing to someone else. It all depends on what else has gone on in your life to that point. So like, if somebody's sailed through life, I was saying this yesterday when I went on his podcast, if somebody's sailed through life and just been like happy ever after and nothing bad's ever happened, and then they crash the car, they can get PTSD from it. That's a tragedy or a trauma for them. But if you've had lots of little things happen, you might just think, oh, well, this isn't a big deal, but it's still a big deal.
Yeah.
So don't undermine your story was my point.
Thanks, Alex. So something that I was never really into in my single life was one night stands. Now, these are very different. When I speak to younger people, it's not like as big a thing. Or when I talk to people and they were like, oh, I had loads of one night stands, like dead blasé. I'm really like shocked at this, because it was not something that I was into doing at all. It's like a big thing for me.
There was a big stigma around it as well, don't forget. In like the 90s, if you were a girl who openly had sex with loads of, you were a slag or a slut. You know, that was where we lived as well. You know,
definitely. There was a massive stigma. So this already is traumatising me now, talking about this. So I went out on a date with this guy who I didn't particularly fancy or want to go out with, actually. I used to be a real yes person. So people used to ask me out and I'd just say yeah, because they'd asked, right? Yeah, and my mum used to say to me, like, you don't have to say yes to everybody, Lisa, just because they've asked you. But I found that's something that's grown in sobriety. I don't say yes, and nobody asks me anymore. But
that's not true.
No, it's true, they don't. Maybe it's locked down.
Yeah, it's because you're stuck in and you don't see anyone.
Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, I don't say yes all the time now, or I wouldn't if they asked, but I used to just say yeah, and this lad asked me, and I was like, oh, this seems nice, so I should go. But there's no way I fancied him, no way at all. And I ended up going on this date in Manchester. And because I now realise that I had social anxiety, so the full build-up of this date was actually traumatising to me. it's like, right, I'm seeing this person in a different environment, so like what's that going to be like? So I thought I needed drinks to kind of take that edge off. So by the time I got on this date, I was quite tipsy anyway. Went into Manchester. Now I remember going into the first bar Blue or whatever it was called, and I suggested shots because I was nervous and because
that's what you did anyway.
It was more if I was anxious or nervous in situations, or if I felt uncomfortable, it'd be like, I know what to do, let's get everybody a shot, because it takes the attention away and we're all then going to be blitzed and nobody will remember the night, and that means they're not thinking about me, so it'll all be all right kind of thing. So it was like, right, I'll get the shots in, because drinking was such a big part of my identity then as well. It was like I thought I had to keep up this party animal kind of thing. Anyway, that's pretty much the last thing I remember from that whole night. So I've got a vague recollection of being on a train, and I woke up next to this guy.
Oh my God.
And I do not remember anything from that first bar, like nothing at all.
So you don't know how you got there?
I don't know how we got home. I could not even believe, like I would definitely have not like slept with this guy, but I definitely didn't have clothes on. So
does that mean you don't know whether you did or you didn't, or do you know you didn't, or do you not talk about it?
I can't remember. I assume I did. I think there was a conversation later about it, but I was just so traumatised. I woke up next to this guy that I definitely didn't fancy and I definitely didn't intend on taking home. I was absolutely stark naked, right? And some people are comfortable with this, but I'm not.
No.
Like, I don't know why. I'm working on that as well. There's a lot of things I'm working on, guys.
She's working on herself.
Naked is being one of them. It's like, I don't know, it's just, So already I'm like, how the fuck do I get from this bed to some clothes, because this guy's going to see me naked, and obviously
it was
just awful. And throughout the day, this is the worst bit, and I'm laughing because I think I'm so nervous about it, and I hope my kids never ever listen to this episode, but throughout the day, like, I found underwear around my house.
Oh no.
On the sofa, I kind of sat on the sofa. It's all done, Alex. It was so traumatising.
I do think it's traumatising, but we're doing what we do best, and we're making light of it.
And I kind of sat on the sofa and I looked to the side of me, and there were like my knickers. Like my knickers on my I don't know where my legs had been. Oh, it's just awful. The full thing's awful. But
you've got an imagination as well, right? And I've got to tell you this: your imagination is one of the most vivid I've ever. I mean, if I say to Lisa, "Oh my God, my husband just walked in and like showed me his bum,"
can we not say it?
She pictures it like she can see it,
and like husband's bum.
I know, but I don't want you to see it. But
I don't.
But I keep forgetting that you've got.
It's not that pretty.
Oh, it is. It's lovely. It's got a lovely cute bum. But anyway, stop now. Look, I have to justify it now, and now you're thinking of it even more.
Oh, it's pretty cute now.
But I do know, Lisa, that you will have built this up much more than it actually was. In reality, you were probably just like both blind drunk, had sex, and the knickers ended up there.
That's just cringing.
And I know that cringes you out, but you've got a whole vision of exactly how that happened because of where you found things.
Well, this is the worst thing, right? I was so adamant that I didn't remember, and I didn't understand. I couldn't understand why I'd got to this point and why I didn't remember anything.
Yeah.
So the only explanation to me was, I've been spiked. I must have been spiked.
I've done that as well, yeah.
So then this guy, I am now in my head thinking, he spiked me, his things have happened that shouldn't have happened, and is now in my bed being really quite polite, actually. So I didn't speak to him for a very, very long time, and I'd kind of messaged later and I was like, look, I don't remember anything. And I kind of implied that he'd spiked me.
Oh.
So the story just got bigger, that now I was going through the anxiety of like, how bad is that? You know, if he hasn't, and I've just been Lisa party animal, and I'm just
and do you not think he did now?
No, I don't think he did. I genuinely, hand on heart, believe that Sambuca is fucking dangerous.
Like, must be if she's F-bombed.
I agree. It's so dangerous, and I think, thinking about it, another time when I've gone out, I've blacked out really early, and it was from Sambuca. So, and it was only because I blacked out again from Sambuca that actually made me think, you know what, this poor guy,
Probably did nothing wrong.
Probably didn't, no. And like, you know, I can get a bit raunchy after a few drinks. And I probably had like I bet he thought, this is good. This is amazing. But I genuinely, it's really hard because I don't remember, and I still don't remember. And when you said that about you never get your memories back, so it's really, really difficult. And I know that's probably a really difficult subject for other people as well, if things have happened, but I would not have been in that position had I not drank before I went, downed a load of sambucas. I've put myself in that, and I'm not saying people do.
Not victim blaming.
No, it's so difficult, I think, to talk about, which is why I've probably avoided it.
It is complicated, and I think the thing is as well with all of that.
Any of that out loud.
No, you have actually told me that story before. It's hard to reconcile because you can't process what's happened when you don't remember what's happened. And I think if you could remember what had happened, you'd process it and kind of not forgive. That's not the right word, but put it to bed. You kind of put it away and say, right, I've got to move on. But because you can't remember it, you can't reconcile. You can't make amends with it, can you?
No.
It's a really hard situation to be in. But it's happened to me, it's probably happened to most people listening to our podcast at some point or another. And I think it's really important at this time to point out that this is why now there's so much kind of attention being drawn to consent in people. I said consent. Consent.
Wear a condom.
Yeah. Oh my God. But consent when you've had a drink.
Yeah.
Because how far can you consent to sex?
Well, that is true, but then what if the two of you are absolutely wasted? What happens there?
That's what I mean. I'm not going to give the answers. I'm not getting myself in that hole.
No, I've literally just thought of that though. So sorry, guys. I was just thinking out loud there. But that is something to maybe think about or not think about.
Yeah, if you're in our sober experiment group, it'd be quite interesting actually to hear your thoughts on Blackout and your experiences as well. If you want to comment on YouTube, if the video goes on YouTube or on our podcast, we would be really interested to hear your stories.
Just let us know we're not alone, guys.
I don't think we're alone. I
don't think we're alone at all, and I think that's why I kind of like it's like counselling, isn't it? It really is, and I love doing these podcasts, and it's frightening, and it 100% pushes me probably more than you out of my comfort zone. And I've always kept things in and things like that. I wouldn't even tell myself. Like, I wouldn't want to talk about that to myself. And I think, in honesty, if I can just help one person kind of think, you know what, I've done that, or I'm not alone, then it's worth talking about. So
yeah, so if you are someone who at the moment is thinking of giving up drinking, or you're just in your sober curious stage, and you are experiencing blackouts, however bad they are or mild they are, but you're forgetting things, please get in touch with us. And we don't often do this on the podcast because we don't talk about our sober experiment so much. But if you're listening and you want some support, please look us up because we can help you. We have had so many people through lockdown tell us how helpful the podcast is, how amazing they find it. We're overwhelmed ourselves with the feedback we've had, aren't we?
It's amazing. I think, Claire, we spoke to somebody yesterday and she was like, your podcast got me through lockdown. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what? Did that work? Yeah, I'm walking my dog and I'm laughing and I'm crying and we're like, oh my God, like somebody is walking around with us in their ears.
I know, that's really scary. Now I don't want to talk anymore. It makes me nervous.
But we're going to keep this episode fairly short, aren't we? Yeah. Episode 1. We just wanted to kind of check in, say hello, say we're really glad to be back. We're hoping to put out weekly episodes again.
Yes, I think we've got, like you said, we've got a lot lined up, and it's going to be really nice to get some of the guys on our podcast and see it from their perspective. There's been a lot going on, I think, between both of us in lockdown, so we'll touch on everything that's been gone on. Like you've had a really rough time.
I had another miscarriage during lockdown, and for anyone who knows our story, like the first miscarriage, that was like the turning point for me. That was the bit where I hit my kind of rock bottom, if you like, and just went all out and got pissed for 6 months. But it was a very different experience, and I do want to go into that in a bit more depth because you know what, being sober builds confidence, it builds resilience, and it gives you tools to deal with things. And I've dealt with it. Like, I'm not saying I'm grieved, it was blooming horrible, and I had the raw feelings and the sadness, but I really would like to touch on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of toolboxes, haven't we got one on our website?
We have, yeah. Like asking me like you don't know.
No, I forgot. I didn't know whether you put it back up there, because it wasn't on there for a little bit, was it?
Yeah, no, it is definitely back up there, and that can actually be downloaded for free on the 30-day page.
Yeah.
So if you go onto our website, we'll put the links on in all the bios for the podcast and the YouTube. But go on there, go on the 30-day page and the toolboxes there, and it's things that have like massively helped us and worked for us. And like you say, I think building resilience is so important, but it's a full journey in itself, isn't it?
It takes work, people say to us, oh, you're so inspiring, you must, like, just things like this mustn't affect you and so on. We do get that occasionally, but you know what, we work on ourselves every single day in one way or another, and we say this all the time. We're lucky enough to have each other, so I'll phone and say, Lisa, such a body's really pissed me off, and she said, have you tapped on it? And I'm like, oh, and we'll talk to you about tapping as well, because we've got some guests coming up in a few weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we've just got so much to touch on. Like you say, you've got your miscarriage, my marriage breakdown in lockdown, so I'm now like sober. I know we said that was always on and off. That's been a full like mystery anyway.
Yeah, you've never really talked about your marriage, have you?
Well,
only to say that you kind of lived with him, but you didn't live with him. No, the other way around. You married, but you didn't live with him.
It was a funny one.
Still is.
It was a funny experience, that one.
Oh, what a life experience.
Tips: don't get married pissed.
It does help, doesn't it? It really does help. What else has happened that we need to there's just so much, and I think over the next few weeks we'll start to talk about these different things that have happened and how we've dealt with them. And it has all, honestly, it's all come down to us being sober and building this confidence and this resilience to have the tools to deal with stuff. It really has, hasn't it?
By just saying that, I feel like how good is that you know what, it doesn't matter how shit things can get,
and they do
like, I think, and we've probably said this because I can't even remember what we've said on all our other episodes, but it doesn't matter how hard things get, life doesn't stop when you stop drinking. Sober isn't magical, although it is a bit.
It is a bit.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's quite a lot magical, but life still happens even when you're sober. So to be able to grow and build that resilience and use these tools to get yourself through it, it's really good, and I love helping people do that. I think that's something that we're both really passionate about, and learning to do more and more all the time,
and learning to be honest as well with each other, with ourselves, with other people. You learn honesty, don't you? You learn to be realistic and to stop lying to yourself, because we've done years of lying to ourselves.
You don't even know you're lying to yourself.
No, you believe you're on bullshit.
I know, I used to be think I was a really genuine, loyal person, but I couldn't even tell myself truth. How the hell can you? But it's hard. It's so hard.
It is hard. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's a hard journey, but it's absolutely worth it. Oh, and speaking of journeys, in September, so we're August now. In September, we are starting something which will be completely free, called, what are we calling it?
Well, we've been wondering about this. We're toying. We don't know whether it's smashing or smash or smashed.
September.
We're just getting smashed in September.
Yeah, basically,
but in a
smashing
very
life.
Different way.
Yeah, we've got some ideas for how you can take your sobriety to the next level and actually build on this idea of building confidence and resilience and routines. I'm sorry, Lisa's dog is disgusting. He really is disgusting. That's why she's laughing. That's why she's gone to pieces, and that's why I'm about to vomit. And I think on that note, we're going to have to go.
We're going to have to go because we need to get some air.
We need to put him in the garden. See you later, guys. It's been lovely again.